This is the story of four sisters. They lived in Boston, in America, during the Civil War. Their father was away helping the army, so they lived in the house with their mother and Hannah, their servant. Margaret was the oldest. She was 16 and was very pretty. She had blonde hair. Her family called her Meg. Next came Josephine. She was a tall 15-year-old with long legs. She wished that she were a boy. Her family called her Joe. The third sister was Elizabeth. She was 13. She was a very quiet, shy girl. Her family called her Beth. The youngest sister was Amy. She was thin and had blue eyes. She thought she was very important and behaved like a lady. Their mother was Mrs. March, and they all loved her very much and tried to please her. She worked hard to help the army by making clothes. The girls called her Mamie. The March family did not have much money. They used to be rich, but Mr. March tried to help some friends and lost all his money. They still had their house and Hannah to help them, but their clothes were old, and sometimes they did not have enough to eat. Life was sometimes difficult, but they always tried to be happy and help each other. Christmas was coming, and Mamie told the girls that there was not enough money for Christmas presents this year. The girls had a little money and talked about what they would do. Each of them wanted to buy something for herself. Meg wanted something pretty. Joe wanted a new book to read. Beth wanted some new music to play on the old piano. And Amy wanted new pencils because she loved to draw. The clock struck 6. Mommy would be home soon. The girls got ready. They cleaned the fireplace and lit the lamp. They made sure that Mommy's chair was near the fire, and Joe held her slippers in front of the fire to make them warm. Mommy's slippers are very old, said Joe. We should buy her a new pair. This made them think. They decided that they would not buy anything for themselves this Christmas after all. They would buy some things for Mommy. Meg decided to buy some new gloves. Joe thought new slippers would be very useful. Beth wanted to give her some nice handkerchiefs. I'll buy some perfume, said Amy. It won't cost much, and I can still buy some pencils for myself. While they waited for Mommy to come home, they practiced their Christmas play. Joe wrote a play every year, and everyone thought it was wonderful. When Mommy arrived, they made her sit by the fire. They put warm slippers on her feet. After supper, Mommy read them a letter from their father. He was well and told his daughters to be good so that he would be proud of his little woman when he came back home. They all thought about the letter and decided to be very good. That evening, the girls took out their sewing. At 9 o'clock, they put away their work and sang some songs around the piano. Joe was the first one to wake up on Christmas morning. It was a strange feeling because there were no presents to open. Mommy had put a small book under each girl's pillow. As soon as they woke up, they began to read their new books. Then they went downstairs to their mother, but she wasn't there. Hannah told them someone came to the door asking for food, and she had gone out with them. The girls got their presents ready. Amy surprised everyone by hurrying off to the shop to buy a larger bottle of perfume. She said that she would was feeling guilty for buying such a small bottle of perfume, but now she felt better. Breakfast was ready when Mamie arrived home. She told them that she had visited the Hummel family, who were very poor. The mother had a new baby and 6 other children. They had no food to eat and no fire to keep them warm. Mommy and the girls decided that they would give them their breakfast. They carried the food and some wood to the Hummel's house. They gave the food to the children, and Hannah lit a fire to keep them warm. When the 4 girls went home, they were hungry but happy. They knew that they had been good. They had bread and milk for breakfast, and then they gave Mommy her presents. She was very surprised and pleased. That afternoon, the girls put on their play for their friends. About 10 girls came to see the play. They got onto a bed and watched as the 4 sisters acted out Joe's play. It was about a witch and a bad man and 2 people in love. Everybody enjoyed it very much, even when part of the set fell down. At the end of the play, the bed broke and all the girls fell onto the floor. Nobody was hurt, and they all laughed. When they went to have some supper, they were very surprised to see a lot of food on the table. They didn't know where the food came from until Mamie told them that it came from Mr. Lawrence. He was a rich man who lived in the house next door. The girls had met his grandson. They called him the Lawrence boy. Joe wished that she could go get to know him better, but his grandfather made him study a lot. Mr. Lawrence heard about the breakfast that the March family gave to the Hummels and decided to reward the children with this food. They were very pleased and enjoyed it very much. A few days later, Joe was reading in her favorite chair near a sunny window. Meg called out to her and showed her a letter from Mrs. Gardner. It invited them to come to a dance on New Year's Eve, which was the next day. Meg was very worried about what she should wear. Joe laughed at her. She knew that they did not have much choice. Meg wished that she had something nicer to wear. Joe's best dress had a burn mark and a tear in it. Meg was worried that her gloves were not very nice. Joe's gloves had terrible marks on them because she spilled some lemonade on them. They decided that they would each wear one of Meg's gloves and carry one of Joe's. Then nobody would see the lemonade marks. Joe tried to make Meg's hair prettier, but she did something wrong, and Meg's hair looked terrible. Beth and Amy helped to make it nicer. Mommy made sure they had handkerchiefs, and they walked excitedly to Mrs. Gardner's home. When they got there, a boy asked Meg to dance almost immediately. Joe stood against the wall. She did not dare to move because she was hiding the burn and tear marks on her dress. She moved along the wall and knocked into the Lawrence boy. He was not dancing because he did not know anybody. Joe talked about the wonderful feast that his grandfather had sent on Christmas Day. She discovered that his name was Theodore, but he liked it better if people called him Laurie. She also found out that he had been to Paris and Switzerland. He could speak French. He was 15 years old. He told Joe that he thought that Meg was very pretty. He invited Joe to dance, and she told him that she couldn't because of her dress. He took her out of the room to a hall where they could still hear the music, and there they danced. Meg came to find Joe because her shoe broke. and she hurt her foot. She could not dance any more. They wondered how they were going to get home because Meg's foot was badly hurt, and she could hardly walk. Luckily, Laurie was ready to go home just then, even though it was early, and he gave them a ride in his grandfather's carriage. They told the two younger sisters about the dance. Meg wished that she could always go to dances in fine clothes and ride in carriages, but Jo didn't care. She thought they were just as happy as rich people anyway.